Lewis Hamilton just took his first win with Ferrari at the China Sprint, and he did it in a landslide. But the big question is, can Ferrari maintain this pace in the main race? Today we're going to analyze what this result means, whether Ferrari has truly found the key to fighting for the championship, and what Red Bull and McLaren can do to respond. Stay until the end because this analysis changes everything. Do you think this victory is a sign of Ferrari's dominance in 2025 or just a good day in the sprint? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Lewis Hamilton's victory in the sprint race of the Chinese Grand Prix marks a milestone in his career with Ferrari. Not only did he take his first win in red, but he did so with a dominant performance that left his rivals with no chance. In a short 19-lap race, Hamilton set an overwhelming pace, building a lead of 6.8 seconds over McLaren's Oscar Piastri and almost 10 seconds over Red Bull's Max Verstappen. Ferrari's dominance began in sprint qualifying, where Hamilton secured pole position with a time of 1:30.849, beating Verstappen by just 0.018 seconds. This lap not only allowed him to start from pole position, but also confirmed the SF-25's outstanding performance on the Shanghai Circuit. The combination of Hamilton's talent and the car's characteristics proved perfect on this track, where corner speed and stability on long straights were key. From the start, Hamilton defended his position with authority, resisting Verstappen's attempts to overtake in the opening meters. One of the keys to his victory was his ability to generate optimal traction at the start, which allowed him to stay ahead without giving his pursuers a chance. Once he consolidated his lead, Ferrari's race pace was unmatchable for Red Bull and McLaren. One of the highlights of this performance was the consistency of his lap times. Hamilton managed to maintain a steady pace without suffering excessive tire degradation, allowing him to extend his lead with each lap. In comparison, Verstappen and Piastri had to manage their tires more, forcing them to sacrifice pace in the second half of the race. Ferrari's dominance wasn't limited to Hamilton alone. Charles Leclerc, despite finishing fifth, demonstrated that the team had the potential to be competitive on this track. During practice and qualifying sessions, Leclerc also displayed strong pace, indicating that the improvements made to the SF-25 are benefiting both drivers. Another determining factor in this victory was the SF-25's balance in the medium and high-speed corners. Unlike previous races, where Ferrari struggled to find the ideal setup, in Shanghai the car was stable and responsive in every sector of the track. The aerodynamic efficiency and engine management allowed Hamilton to fully exploit the car's potential without compromising tire wear. Despite this dominance, Ferrari was not without its challenges. During the second half of the race, Hamilton's car experienced slight graining on the front tires, raising concerns about performance in the main race. This wear, while not significantly affecting his performance in the sprint, could become an issue over the full Grand Prix distance, where tire management strategy will play a key role. The gap of almost 7 seconds over the second-place finisher in a race of just 19 laps clearly shows that Ferrari has made a step forward in terms of performance. However, the big question is whether this dominance can be carried over to Sunday's race, where strategy management and pace on long runs will be decisive factors. Hamilton's victory in the 2025 China Sprint is a clear sign that Ferrari has found a competitive footing with the SF-25. His victory, in addition to being historic in his time with the Scuderia, reinforces the team's confidence after a difficult start to the season. The key now will be to confirm this performance in the main race and demonstrate that Ferrari can not only shine in short races, but also fight for victories in the Grand Prix. Hamilton's victory in the 2025 China Sprint has generated great expectations surrounding Ferrari's true potential. However, the big question is whether this result is a sign of sustained dominance or simply strong performance in specific conditions. Formula One history has shown that a team can shine in a particular session, but that doesn't guarantee success throughout the rest of the weekend. One of the key factors to consider is the difference between a sprint race and the full Grand Prix. In the sprint, drivers don't have to worry about pit stop strategies or long-term tire degradation. This means teams can push hard without worrying too much about wear management. Ferrari took advantage of these conditions with a car that appears to perform strongly on fast laps. But it remains to be seen whether it can sustain this pace over a full race with different tire strategies and fuel load settings. Another aspect to analyze is the reaction of rivals. Red Bull and McLaren have been two of the most consistent teams at the start of the season, and although Ferrari outperformed them in the sprint, this doesn't necessarily mean they will do so in the main race. Max Verstappen qualified just 0.0001 seconds behind Hamilton in qualifying for the sprint, indicating that Red Bull is performing very similarly in Shanghai. During the short race, however, the Dutchman couldn't keep up with the Ferrari and progressively lost ground. This could be due to the configuration chosen for the sprint, which perhaps prioritized long-term performance rather than maximum performance over 19 laps. McLaren is also a contender to be reckoned with. Oscar Piastri managed to overtake Verstappen and finish second in the sprint, proving that the British team remains a real threat. Lando Norris, although performing more subduedly in the sprint, has shown on several occasions that he has the ability to recover positions in long races. If McLaren has gathered valuable data from the sprint and manages to optimize its setup for the main race, it could become a serious contender for the win. Ferrari showed strong pace but also showed signs of weaknesses. Graining on the SF-25's front tires during the sprint could become a major issue in the main race, where degradation will be even more pronounced. In a longer race, teams with better tire management will have an advantage, and in this regard, Red Bull has historically been the benchmark in recent seasons. Another point to consider is that the grid for the main race will be decided in a separate qualifying session. Although Hamilton excelled in sprint qualifying, that doesn't guarantee he can repeat the result in Grand Prix qualifying. Track conditions could change, and the evolution of the layout could benefit other teams. If Ferrari fails to secure pole, it could find itself in a much more difficult situation on Sunday. Ferrari's performance in Shanghai must also be evaluated in the context of the rest of the season. In Australia, the team struggled to find the right balance for their car, indicating they are still in a fine-tuning phase. The improvement in China could be a sign of progress, but it is still early to say Ferrari has completely overcome its issues. The key will be to see if this performance can be replicated on circuits with different characteristics, such as Suzuka or Imola, where aerodynamic efficiency and race pace management are even more demanding. The Ferrari team, led by Fred Vasseur, has adopted a cautious stance following the sprint victory. Despite the enthusiasm for the result, the team is aware that there is still work to be done to establish itself as a title contender. Vasseur has mentioned on several occasions that consistency will be key for Ferrari in 2025, and a single outstanding performance is not enough to define the course of the season. The Chinese Grand Prix will be the ultimate test for Ferrari. If Hamilton and Leclerc manage to maintain the pace they showed in the sprint and convert it into a victory in the main race, then the narrative of the season could change. However, if Red Bull or McLaren find a way to counter Ferrari's advantage, then the sprint victory could be seen as a one-off achievement rather than a clear trend. Ferrari's performance in China could be a sign of a team on the rise or simply the result of favorable circumstances on a particular weekend. Sunday's race will answer this question and determine whether Ferrari truly has the potential to fight for the 2025 championship or if it remains a team with intermittent performances. Following Lewis Hamilton's victory in the sprint race of the 2025 Chinese Grand Prix, statements from the key players offered a deeper analysis of what this result means for Ferrari and the season in general. Both Hamilton and the team were cautious in their remarks, celebrating the success but without becoming overly optimistic. First, Hamilton expressed his excitement after securing his first win with Ferrari. It was a significant moment for the seven-time world champion, who made no secret of the significance of this triumph after his transition from Mercedes. He emphasized how challenging it has been to adapt to a completely new team and understand the SF-25's behavior in different track conditions. In his own words, the sprint victory confirmed that he's starting to feel more comfortable with the car and the way Ferrari works. Hamilton also spoke about the difficulties he faced in the first races of the season and how the team has worked to improve the car's performance. He mentioned that he didn't feel completely in tune with the car in Melbourne, but in China things started to fall into place. This adaptation process is key to his future performance, as a better understanding of the car will allow him to fully exploit its capabilities in the upcoming races. From the team's perspective, Ferrari team principal Fred Vasseur adopted a cautious tone in his remarks. Despite the sprint victory, Vasseur made it clear that there is still much work to be done and that they shouldn't be swayed by a single good result. He explained that the performance gap between teams can vary from session to session, and that Ferrari must continue to seek improvements to remain competitive throughout the season. The team principal acknowledged the importance of the victory, not only from a technical perspective, but also in terms of team motivation. After a bumpy start to the season, securing a win in the sprint boosts morale within the team and demonstrates that the decisions made in the development of the SF-25 are beginning to bear fruit. However, he also noted that the championship is long and that the key will be to maintain consistency in each Grand Prix. Regarding the rivals, Max Verstappen and Oscar Piastri also gave their impressions after the race. Verstappen acknowledged that Ferrari had better pace in the sprint and simply couldn't match Hamilton's speed in this session. However, he also indicated that Red Bull has room for improvement and that the main race could be a different story, especially if they manage to optimize their tire strategy and set up adjustments. Meanwhile, Oscar Piastri, who finished in second place, highlighted McLaren's strong performance in the sprint and was optimistic about the main race. He noted that his team has been working hard to close the gap on Ferrari and Red Bull, and that he is increasingly comfortable fighting for the front positions. He also mentioned that the car's performance over the short distance was positive, but that it will be necessary to evaluate how it responds in a longer race with strategy changes. Another important point in the post-race comments was the opinion of Charles Leclerc, who finished in fifth place. Although he couldn't match Hamilton's pace in the sprint, Leclerc commented that the car has made a leap in quality compared to Australia and that he is confident Ferrari can continue to evolve throughout the season. He also spoke about the areas that still need improvement, especially in terms of tire management and long-run speed. The combination of these statements reflects the current state of the grid. Ferrari celebrates its victory in the sprint, but knows that a significant challenge remains in the main race. Red Bull and McLaren acknowledge Ferrari's improvement, but are confident they can react and adjust their strategies for the Grand Prix. El ambiente dentro de Ferrari es de optimismo moderado. El equipo sabe que este triunfo es importante, pero también es consciente que la verdadera prueba será en la carrera del domingo. See Hamilton y Ferrari logran repetir este rendimiento en la distancia completa del Gran Premio. Así confirmará que la scuderia ha dado un paso adelante y que su monoplaza es una amenaza real para el resto de la temporada. Sin embargo, si Red Bull y McLaren logran recuperar terreno, entonces el debate sobre si Ferrari puede mantener esta competitividad seguirá abierto. La carrera sprint del Gran Premio de China 2025 hectares dejado muchas conclusiones sobre el estado actual de la competencia en la Fórmula 1. La victoria de Lewis Hamilton con Ferrari ha sido un momento clave en la temporada y un posible punto de inflexión para la scuderia. Después de un inicio irregular en Australia, este resultado demuestra que Ferrari ha logrado avances significativos con el SF-25, consolidando su capacidad para luchar en la parte alta de la parrilla. El dominio mostrado por Hamilton en la sprint no es casualidad. Su ritmo de carrera, la estabilidad del monoplaza y la capacidad para gestionar la degradación de los neumáticos fueron factores determinantes para su triunfo. La pregunta ahora es si Ferrari podrá replicar este rendimiento en la carrera principal y en el resto de la temporada. La historia reciente ha demostrado que la competencia en la Fórmula 1 es extremadamente dinámica, con cambios en el rendimiento de una carrera a otra dependiendo del circuito, la estrategia y las condiciones de pista. La victoria en la sprint es un mensaje claro para Red Bull y McLaren, quienes han sido los equipos más consistentes en la temporada hasta el momento. Aunque Ferrari ha dado un paso adelante, todavía quedan dudas sobre si podrán mantener este nivel en circuitos con características distintas. El equipo ha desarrollado un monoplaza radicalmente diferente a su predecesor, lo que implica que todavía están en una fase de aprendizaje sobre su potencial real. El papel de Hamilton en este preciso es fundamental. Su experiencia y capacidad de adaptación han sido clave para el desarrollo del SF-25. Si continúa encontrando la forma óptima de sacar el máximo rendimiento del monoplaza, Ferrari podría consolidarse como un contendiente serio al campeonato. Sin embargo, la estabilidad en los resultados será crucial, y la próxima carrera será una prueba definitiva para determinar si este triunfo fue una señal de dominio o simplemente una situación favorable en un circuito específico. El rendimiento de Charles Leclerc también será un factor a seguir de cerca. Aunque su desempeño en la sprint no estuvo al nivel de Hamilton, sigue siendo un piloto clave para Ferrari. Si logra mejorar en la clasificación y encontrar una estrategia efectiva en la carrera principal, Ferrari podría tener dos autos en la lucha por la victoria, lo que fortalecería su posición en el campeonato de constructores. La carrera principal del Gran Premio de China será el verdadero examen para Ferrari. Un buen resultado consolidaría la idea de que han encontrado la fórmula correcta para pelear por victorias constantes. Sin embargo, si Red Bull y McLaren logran revertir la situación con una mejor gestión de estrategia y neumáticos, entonces la victoria en la sprint podría quedar como un logro aislado en una temporada altamente competitiva. El desenlace de este fin de semana será fundamental para comprender el equilibrio de fuerzas en la Fórmula 1 en 2025. Ferrari ha demostrado que tiene velocidad, pero ahora necesita demostrar que tiene la consistencia para mantenerse en la pelea a lo largo del año. Para seguir de cerca todo lo que suceda en esta apasionante temporada, y es importante estar atento a cada detalle. Las estrategias, el desarrollo de los monoplazas y el rendimiento de los pilotos serán claves para definir quién dominará en 2025. Este es solo el inicio de una historia que se seguirá escribiendo en cada carrera. La lucha por el campeonato sigue abierta y los equipos tienen mucho margen para evolucionar. En las próximas semanas, se podrá ver si Ferrari ha dado un salto definitivo o si sus rivals encontrarán la manera de responder a este desafío.